Stanley, pages 63 and 64. Okay. He was covered in paint and both hands were thick with clay. He obviously had found the craft corner. Miss Tracy saw me and smiled as she walked in my direction. Was he all right? I asked nervously. "Oh, fine," she replied. "He's a bit on the hyper side, but that's a lot better than being shy, isn't it?" "Is it?" I asked incredulously. He did try to paint the boy next to him green, but most of the paint came off eventually. He told me that you once did something like that to your dog. She continued to smile at me as she spoke, as if I were some kind of a half-wit. "Me?" I said excitedly. Stanley gave me a wicked grin. Miss Tracy, however, continued to speak and returned to the subject of Stanley's first school day. "I had to stop him," she said, "for making chocolate cakes out of clay, as some of the children ate them and were a little ill as a result. Apart from those incidents, he's been a great little fellow. Haven't you, Stanley?" Stanley nodded proudly. Miss Tracy stood at the doorway of the classroom and was still wearing a broad smile. I stared at her. Was this woman a genius? Was she a magician? Maybe she was some sort of hypnotist and had put Stanley into some kind of trance. She had just spent 4¼ hours in a room with 32 children and one Stanley. And she was still smiling. She was still standing. How did she do it? As I continued to stare in disbelief, I found myself shaking my head slowly. "Was there something you wanted to tell me about Stanley, Mr. McGregor?" asked Miss Tracy. "I'm sorry if I rushed you away this morning, but I really was terribly busy." "Oh, I understand. There's no need to apologise. It was silly of me to try to tell you anything with so much going on all around you," I said. "So, what was it you wanted to tell me about Stanley?" she asked. Oh, nothing. Stanley's fine, really," I lied. "He's, as you say, just a bit hyper." We said goodbye, and Stanley and I made our way out to the car. As we sat in, Stanley asked, "Dad, what does hyper mean?" "It means you're a nutter," I replied. "Oh, is that all?" he said calmly, as he pulled an apple out from his lunchbox and munched it happily. Stanley continued on his merry way through his first year at St. Thomas's. Miss Tracy soon discovered just how hyper he could be. One day, he organised a Tarzan swinging competition in the PE hall. It was free playtime on the gymnastics apparatus. The children were busy climbing on the wooden frames or bouncing on trampolines under the watchful eye of Miss Tracy. When a parent came to the door to talk to her, Stanley seized his opportunity.